Hey guys, Connor here at etrailer.com. Today we're going to be taking a look at the Curt trailer connector adapter here for our 2020 Volvo XC60. So this is what the 7-way is going to look like installed on pretty much all vehicles. As you can see here, the great thing about this adapter here, it's going to take a 4-way flat trailer connector adapter, which is the most common and standard kind, and it's going to adapt it into a 7-way trailer connector adapter. We're also still going to retain the 4-way on the side here. So if you're wondering why you would need a 7-way trailer connector, and the reason for this is most larger to medium duty trailers, or any trailer with brakes for that matter, is going to require this 7-way. Because the 7-way has more circuits than the 4-way, which allows us to accommodate additional features such as the electric brake output pin or reverse lights should we need them. It's also going to have a battery charge line circuit if our trailer has an onboard battery. So even if your trailer didn't have brakes and it had an onboard battery, chances are it's going to have a 7-way as well, and you can use this to charge that battery. So our kit comes with pretty much everything we need. But again, depending on your installation, you may need an additional no-drill bracket to secure it to the trailer hitch, which is what we have done here. But aside from that, the dust cover, the caps, all the hardware we need, and even one of our brackets are all going to be included with our kit, along with all the miscellaneous wire connections that we would require. So in regards to installation, most of it is actually going to be plug and play. We're going to need to have a 4-way already in place, but we can simply attach the 4-way trailer connector that we have on our vehicle to the opposite end of the connector here that is attached to our adapter. And then we're going to have a few more wires we need to connect, which we'll go over later in the video. But there is a white wire for the ground that has a ring terminal that's going to need to be attached to a bare metal part of our frame. We're going to have a yellow wire, which is for reverse lights. We're going to have a blue wire, which is for the electric brake output circuit that we talked about earlier. If this is present, we're going to need to run a wire from this trailer connector up into the cab of our vehicle and connect it to our brake controller. And then last but not least, we're going to have the black wire, which is going to be for the battery charge line circuit. This would actually be run to the vehicle's battery and attached to that. Now you don't need to have all these circuits on your trailer to be able to use this trailer connector. If they're ones that we're not going to need, we can simply tape them up, tie them off, to still be used at a later date if needed. And now that we've gone over some of the benefits and features of our trailer connector adapter, let's jump right into installation and show you how it's done. So the first step of our installation here, we need to find a place where our trailer connector can sit. Now there's all different kinds of mounting brackets available. There's even one that comes with our kit here, but the only option we'd really have if we're just going to solely use the bracket that comes with our kit is drill into the bottom of this fascia panel here. And although that is an option, that doesn't really give us the best support. It's going to cause a lot of stress on that panel here. So if we can try to, we're going to avoid that. Now in regards to other brackets that we can use, that's going to be really dependent on what kind of trailer hitch we have. This particular trailer hitch here, and I believe most of them for this Volvo here, are going to install mostly hidden behind the bumper beam, which means we don't really have a beam down here that we can attach to. However, I've got a good idea here as a way to mount a trailer connector. What we're going to be using is a no-drill mounting bracket, the long style, which you can pick up here through eTrailer, but it doesn't actually come with your kit. And what we're going to do is we're going to sort of turn this around so we have this flat edge facing the back of the vehicle. And what I did is I just went ahead and peeled back this heat shield just for the time being so I can slip our bracket up into position. This slip here is going to go over the top of our trailer hitch, which we have installed. We're just going to gently set it there for now to give you an idea of how this is going to look. What we're going to do next is we're actually going to have to bend this bracket. One of two reasons. We don't have a way to attach it while it's flat like this. So we're going to need to bend this tab upward. And that's also going to help us get the trailer connector out away from our exhaust here, which is something we need to be aware of because the heat can actually melt our wires and cause a bunch of issues. So what we're going to do is we're going to set that panel up there. Then we're going to take part of a marker here. And we're just going to mark about where we need that bend to be. So about right here is where we need that bend to start. Now we're going to take this off, whatever you have really. If you have some sort of flat edge that you can use a hammer to bend that end. We have a vise, which is going to be much preferred for this. We're going to go ahead and make that bend there, so we'll have a place, a nice spot, flat spot to mount our trailer connector. So we went ahead and got our bracket bent here, which you can see. We want it to sort of form like a box shaped here, with our flat part matching up with our flat part here. Now before we go ahead and set this on the vehicle here, we're going to go ahead and attach the mounting bracket that came with our 7-way. Should look about like that. Now we can go ahead and set this on the vehicle and attach it using our band clamp. So now that we were able to get our mounting bracket secured to the hitch here, the next step we can do is go ahead and mount our actual 7-way. Now we're going to take our connections here, we're going to slide those through this hole, just like so. And then we can secure the 7-way to our bracket here with the included hardware. Take a flat washer here with one of our screws and insert it. On the back side, we're going to have a split lock washer and then a hex nut. We're going to use the same combination of hardware for the other 3 holes as well. Then we can tighten everything down. Then, once we have all those torqued down, we're going to have 2 4-pulls here coming from our harness. The one with sort of the built-in groove in the connector is going to be mounted in this slot here. Just like that. We can go ahead and put our dust cap on. So now we can go ahead and begin to make our connections. Now depending on where our 4-pull is on the vehicle, we need to go ahead and route that over to the same general location as our adapter here, because it's going to plug into our 4-pull here coming from the adapter. So we can go ahead and do that now. But before we do a couple things here. Number one, I'm going to take some dielectric grease. I'm just going to put a small amount on the pins here. So if we did have any water get in there, it wouldn't be able to create any issues with corrosion and cause any lighting problems. Then I'm going to next cut off the dust cap from the 4-way. Yours may or may not have one. Now I'm going to wipe the extra grease that came out when we squeezed the 2 plugs together. And the reason I'm doing that is I'm going to come back with some electrical tape here, and I'm going to make sure those 2 connectors do not come undone from one another. So we're essentially just taping them together as an extra measure of precaution. Our white wire is going to be for ground. We're going to need to find a good spot for that here in a second. But our other wires here are going to be blue for electric brake output. That's going to get run up into the cab of the vehicle, assuming the trailer that we're going to be towing has brakes. The other one we're going to talk about here is the yellow wire. Now the yellow wire is not going to be used in the majority of applications. This is for the reverse light. If our trailer did have reverse lights and we wanted to use those, we'd have to run this up to our tail lights and splice into the reverse light circuit behind there. But since we're not going to be using that, we're going to tape that up along with our other blue wire as well, because this particular customer isn't going to be installing trailer brakes or isn't going to be using trailer brakes. And then finally, we have our black wire here. And this is going to be for the battery charge line circuit. Now, if your trailer has an onboard battery that you want charged while you're traveling down the road, that's when you would use this. This black wire here would be run up to the vehicle's battery. That way you can maintain a charge while you're driving down the road. But this particular customer here isn't going to be using any of these. He just needs the basic 7-way without any battery charging or brake capability. So what we're going to do now is we're just going to tape this up to our other connectors there. And then once we tape those up, we're going to go ahead and move on to our ground. And then last but not least, we will secure all these wires, which we need to be very careful of because we are working right here where our muffler is, which gets hot. And that can, if it comes in contact with our wires, melt them and create a whole bunch of trailer lighting issues. So we're going to have to be very careful when we're securing our excess wire. So in order to effectively run our ground, or attach our ground rather, we needed to extend the wire because we didn't have enough of a lead here to get where we needed to. So what I did was I just went ahead and cut off the old ring terminal. I took a butt connector here and I just attached about 3 or 4 feet of the same white wire that we've seen here. And then what I did with this, there's going to be a section behind the bumper here, above this, behind the heat shield. It's very important that we get behind the heat shield. And basically, we just ran that all the way over to the side. And if you take a look under here, under the bumper, you should be able to see our ring terminal and our self-tapping screw that we used to ground it. So it's back up there, protected from our exhaust. Now, last but not least, this is a very important part of our installation here. We're going to tape up our wires here some more so we don't have any butt connectors exposed. And then we're going to tuck all of our wires up behind this heat shield. And we're going to make sure that they can't fall back down because, again, we have a lot of our exhaust here, a very large muffler which does get hot. We absolutely do not want it to come into contact with any of our wires because it can and will most likely burn them and create issues. I can actually bend our heat shield here a little bit to really trap the rear of that plug so it's furthest away from the exhaust as possible and will never come in direct contact. So now that we have everything buttoned up, the last thing we're going to do is take some dielectric grease here. We're going to coat all the pins in both the 7-way and the 4-way. So if water does get in there, we don't have any issues, similar to how we did with the 2 trailer connectors we mated below, or behind. So again, it's not required, just something that can save you headaches down the road. Now that we have everything hooked up, we're going to go ahead and test out both the 4-pole and the 7-pole here on our kit. Now if you have your trailer, you can use that, but these little LED testers are preferred because if there was an issue on the trailer, it could throw our testing off. So let's go ahead and go through our signals now. First thing we're going to turn on is the running lights. We're going to do the left turn signal, the right turn signal, and then finally our brakes. And there we go. Now we know we have everything working. We're ready to hit the road. And that'll do it today for our look and installation of the Curt trailer connector adapter here for our 2020 Volvo XC60.